Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who's also running for the Republican nomination in 2024, is now jumping on the what might we be able to do to Joe Biden bandwagon of sorts. We heard from the failed former president Donald Trump. What about indicting Biden? What about impeaching Biden? What about weaponizing the Department of Justice against Joe Biden? Well, now Ron DeSantis has an idea up his sleeve. The idea is, well, what about removing Biden from the ballot because undocumented immigrants have entered the United States? And you might say, but David, didn't undocumented immigrants enter the United States when Trump was president as well? And of course, the answer is yes. Here is genius Ron DeSantis with this brilliant idea.
This is just going to be a tit for tat, and it's just not going to end well. You could make a case, and I'm actually looking at this in Florida now. Could we make a credible case that Biden, because of the invasion of 8 million? And again, I don't think that's the right way to do it.
Okay, so because he's so uncharismatic and just, his communication is just such a disaster, it might not be evident what he's suggesting when he says tit for tat, but it's actually the crux of this entire thing. What DeSantis is suggesting is that the efforts to remove Trump from the ballot so far in Michigan and Colorado, but potentially elsewhere, he's suggesting that those are merely political. We don't like Trump. We want to get him off the ballot. So what can we do? Oh, we'll use this 14th Amendment thing to do it. And so if that's tit, we can do tat. And tat would be if they remove Trump, then we remove Biden. Now, before we even analyze the idea of why they would do it, this isn't tit for tat. It's not tit for tit. It's not tat for tat. It's none of it. It's what does Section 3 of the 14th Amendment say? Has nothing to do with anybody other than Donald Trump and his actions around January 6th. Based on what Section 3 says, Donald Trump is not eligible to hold elected office. That's it. It's not tit. Okay? So then DeSantis says 8 million people came into the United States under Biden. So couldn't we in Florida remove him for that reason? Now, we won't even delve into the reality that Florida is not a border state. So why are we even talking about that? But then these Republicans love to say every state is now a border state under the dystopia of Joe Biden or whatever the case may be. They see all of this merely as politics. Whereas there are people, including I know many of you because you write to me about it, who say, I would actually rather just beat Trump at the ballot box. I don't like the idea of defeating those who I believe would be worse for the country politically. I don't like the idea of defeating them by removing them from the ballot. I would rather just beat them at the ballot box. But it's not up to us to choose when what Trump did violates Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. It just is what it is. Last thought on this. Of course, Biden has had nothing to do with removing Trump from the primary ballot in Maine or in Colorado. It has nothing to do with Joe Biden. There's no evidence linking Joe Biden to it, just as there is no evidence linking Joe Biden to the indictments of Donald Trump. But that's the other layer of this, where DeSantis says, well, if Biden removes Trump, then maybe DeSantis will remove Biden. They don't have any evidence of that either. All of this is built out of thin air on the idea that anything that has happened to Trump thanks to Trump's actions, they will try to do to Biden, but not because of Biden's actions, simply for political gain. It's not just Trump who has these ideas. DeSantis has them as well.